Ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation, I am here once again with the one and only George Francis, promoter of FightersRep. How are we doing, George?
Doing great, brother. Another card under the belt, man, and feeling good. It's a couple days out now. Um, I had a lot of fun with that card, man. I thought the Commerce Casino, big shout out to them. I thought that was a beautiful venue to do the event at. I think everybody loved it, man, and I'm just thrilled at that event. I had a really good time at that event.
Yeah, it was a great event, and as I say always, our events just keep getting better and better, with the fights, the people, the exposure, everything all together. And I think it was a step up in terms of having it at the Commerce Casino.
Can we say best event ever again? Because our best event, because we say that for every
All the
video,
time.
and I feel like it's becoming like if you say it too much, like people are gonna think you're just saying it just to say it.
Maybe
you
we're
know what I mean?
biased, but
Maybe we are.
no, but I would have to agree.
Yeah, yeah.
It just keeps getting better and better.
That was. I mean, some of the fights on that card. I mean, besides the setting obviously being way better, some of the fights on the card were just so entertaining, and the place was packed, sold out, and so it adds to the, it adds
The
to
energy.
yeah, man. People are just going crazy in there. Just a couple things that stand out, man. It was a lot of moments, but a couple that stand out for me was Ahmed Rasuli versus Edgar Barbary. Like, holy cow! Like, Ahmed Rasuli can fight his ass off, dude.
Oh yeah, he can crack.
Became heavyweight champ. McNutt versus Rios in the main event. Just 3 rounds of nonstop war. And Gustavo Flores, man, who just does not know, Tivo, who just does not know how to be in a bad fight. Having a firefight with Phil Wong and getting him out of there in the first round. Those are the fights for me that really stood out the most. But there was a lot of really good fights. But I felt like Gustavo's probably knockout of the night. I feel like Ahmed versus Barbary is a fight of the night, and so is McNutt versus Rios. Those are probably tied for fights of the night for me. And Tivo with the knockout. But man, Quincy Holland versus Christian Zoller, total war there. Michael Claycomb Banda, super entertaining fight all the way to the end. You just mentioned it when we were off camera. Shannon Hill versus Steve Fernandez in the very last fight. Hill coming back in the last round. Gabe Silva came back against Evan Wang. It looked good. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see everything that Wang had to offer because he threw out his arm, his shoulder. But just a series of great fights, man. Spencer versus Caldwell. That's been kind of controversial. Some people thought Spencer won. Some people thought Caldwell won. Just, I don't know, man. I mean, it came together. Oh, and how can we forget the opener? Ray Martinez against Dylan Ludwig. Did you expect that from Ray Martinez? I mean, did you think that was going to go that way?
I didn't, not to
Not to minimize his ability.
no. But I did. First of all, I was not expecting that back kick, that spinning back kick, And I don't know if that's from the Claycomb, karate. That's like taught him that. But yeah, I was not expecting that, and that was so clean.
Yeah.
And I know he mentioned that he's dropped a couple of his sparring partners.
And I saw that footage. I've seen that footage because Ray, obviously working with Rage at Sweet Science Boxing MMA, he's definitely gotten the striking right as far as his hands go. Claycomb Karate, now they're working with Sweet Science MMA, and the kicks that Joseph knows how to throw, teaches these kids how to throw. He taught Raymond that kick. Like, I think like a month or so ago when we were there for media day, like he was showing me how he was teaching him that kick and how he was dropping people and sparring with it. And I did not expect. I mean, first off, he dropped Ludwig with a right hand. It was a great fight. Dropped him with a right hand. I think it was in the first or second round. So his boxing was looking good. And then I don't know, that kind of came out of nowhere, man. He created a little bit of space in the corner, turned around and landed it right on the liver. and Ludwig just dropped. And you know, I think the officiating might have botched that one a little bit, if I'm being honest, because it was at the end of the round, and they should have started counting, but instead he was saved by the bell. I'm not sure if that should have happened. Regardless, you know, you got the right winner, but it might have. I think it should have been perhaps a TKO win or a KO win, but regardless, it was amazing. That was amazing.
And that reminds me, Quincy Holland also, he didn't throw the same kick, but he throw, I believe it was a skipping side kick, yeah, which is something you see a lot in, you know, traditional martial arts. So they're definitely taking a lot of things from Clay
and it's
karate.
useful. It's like obviously it's effective. You know what I mean? And then, man, you brought up Holland. His fight with Zoller. I mean, wow, what a fight! That was a fight, you know. And tall guy versus short guy, you know. But Quincy, I felt like had the more power. Zoller more volume, and Zoller was just able to get it done with a crazy pace, man. I mean, you look at Zoller and you see, man, that kid's in incredible shape. He's shredded to the bone. And you know he's got good cardio just by looking at the kid. He showed it. I mean, that's what got him that win. So big congrats to him and his coach Lamance McCurry, doing a great job out there at Vital Force MMA. So yeah, man. I mean, what kind of stood out for you in the evening? Because I mean, those are the ones that just come to my head right away.
I would say you already mentioned it. The main event, obviously, it's such a relentless pace, but I wanna. You mentioned it a little bit, but what caught me by surprise, or you know, what really stood out to me the most would be Shannon Hill, just because the first and second round he was a little hesitant with his punches.
Trigger,
yeah, he wasn't, and you know, his corner kept telling him throw some punches, let the hands go. And
Chad, George, and Ray,
yeah, and then
they were I was sitting right next to them. They were screaming, let your hands go, punch, nothing's free, you gotta fight, you know.
And then by the third round, you know, I think his gas tank played a huge part in him, you know, just staying in the fight. But you mentioned he caught Steve Fernandez with a body shot, and he was letting his hands go in the third round, and I think that was, you know.
That body
memorable.
Shot, that body shot was, when it landed, I saw the way Steve reacted, and I was like, oh, if Shannon just keeps going to the body, it's over. And he was smart enough to do that in his debut. I mean, you got to give both of those kids credit. You know, Steve did great. He was winning those first two rounds. Props to him. Shannon was able to get it together mentally in that third round with the help of Chad George yelling at him, I'm sure, and probably feeling the pressure of knowing that he's going to lose that fight if he doesn't do something. And it was very dramatic. But listen, I mean, this phrase just keeps echoing in my mind. I need to hear what you think about it. Amal Rassouli can fight his ass off, man.
Oh,
did you see that guy?
Yeah.
I mean, what? I mean, you know, this is a bit of an extreme comparison, but you know, he's a really big, long guy. And he just, the way he was moving, and he almost reminded me of like a kickboxing version of a Tyson Fury. You know what I mean? Like that kind of style where he really knows how to use his length. He really knows how to use his body type. Just very technical. Listen, and big shout out to Edgar, man. He's a beast. That was a great fight. I was on the edge of my seat for those 4 rounds. But Ahmed Rassouli that was his 5th fight. He was undefeated 4-0. That was his 5th fight. Edgar had, you know, in total with MMA and striking, I think 3 times the amount of fights. And they actually had us sign a waiver for them ahead of the fight because they were like, well, the experience is so different. I didn't really think it was because Edgar's was only like 5-2 in striking. The other stuff was MMA. And Amal Rassouli was 4-0 in striking, and then had 1 like point kickboxing. So they were pretty even in the striking world. But you know, these commissions, they take into consideration MMA fights as well. But I was like, oh, they got to sign a waiver to fight each other? Because, you know, because they thought Rassouli just didn't have as much experience. They just wanted him to be aware, hey, you've got a lot less experience than this guy. We got the waiver signed, and Man, he showed that waiver was definitely unnecessary, man. He went in there. Wow, man. Wow, wow. I mean, he made a statement. I don't know. For me, he made a statement. I just thought he was incredibly technical. He had bad intentions behind every shot. He was throwing hard, crisp punches. I just didn't. His kicks, even his kicks, everything was with bad intent and great movement for a big guy. What were your thoughts on that fight?
No, I would have to agree. I thought he was very agile. He caught, I believe, Barbary with a front kick to the face.
Multiple. I think it was multiple times.
Yeah, and to the body. Those front kicks were lethal.
Yeah.
They sounded like they hurt. And like you said, his movement was on point. Not just his striking. Everything was on point.
Yeah.
Which is. I mean, nowadays it's more common to see in a heavyweight, but it's great to see, a heavyweight that can move.
Yeah.
Yeah, that has that movement.
Anything else stand out to you?
Well, can we talk about the main event?
Man, yeah, that main event was wild, man.
Those guys did not stop.
I
It
don't
could have
know,
been 5 rounds, and
Yeah.
they could have kept
They would
going.
have just fought to the death.
Yeah.
I mean, Anthony McNutt coming down from Northern California, coming into hostile territory, taking on Julio. Rios. Rios obviously had the home turf advantage, the home crowd with him. Both of them just went at it. Super close fight. I did think the result was justified. I thought McNutt was a little bit more, not only aggressive, landed the more effective shots in a very close fight. But wow, what a fight by both guys. Great fight by McNutt, great fight by Rios. And that was McNutt's pro debut. Rios was 1-1. McNutt was that was his pro debut. So, both guys are still early in their pro career, but what a fight, man. I mean, he said that he's that kind of fighter in the video that we did for him, in the lead up. And everybody says that, but you don't know it until they get in there. And man, he was, everything he said in that video was true, man. I mean, I can't say I've seen a pace like that too often. I mean, can you think of anyone with a pace like that? I mean, the only person I think of that has a similar pace to that is like Edgar Zaragoza.
That's right, Edgar Zaragoza.
Maybe him.
But I don't think we've seen yet.
Yeah, but he's not a pro,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That was a relentless pace. I mean, Bracken obviously for his size also has a crazy pace. But wow, McNutt, man, just forward, strike, 4 or 5 punch combo, follows it with a kick, just excellent. And Julio was excellent too, man. Julio was awesome too. We'd love to have them both back. Maybe eventually they meet again, but I'd love to have them both back and see what we can do with them, man.
Of course. I think I saw you pull up your list.
I was, yeah. I wanted to be sure that we're not missing any fights. We've talked about almost all of them, but a couple we need to talk about. Lamar Murray making his amateur debut against Wesley Harold, who was also making his debut, although he had 2 MMA fights. That was a good little scrap there. Lamar Murray out of Hardworks Fitness, 6'5". Wesley was trying to close the distance on him at 5'9". Couldn't get it done, but it was an entertaining fight nonetheless. I think Murray got the TKO win and improves to 1-0. Another one of these big, tall, long Hardworks Fitness kids, man. Really excited about him, especially since he's got Hung in his corner. Hung, they cross-train with Timo Yama. So they got a lot of killers out there, man. Evan Bolton, Cameron Spencer, et cetera, et cetera. So really excited about that. Then we had Juan Banda versus Michael Claycomb. I mean, we touched on Claycomb and Banda briefly. I thought this was a good fight. Banda came to fight, man. Cody Sessions' guys come to fight. We saw that with the other young prospect and Jason Granado, too. Man, he looked fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
But Banda looked really good in there against Claycomb. I felt he was super durable. Claycomb was hitting him a lot, and he was just taking it. Banda was hitting the same. He was hitting Claycomb back. I just felt like Claycomb just landed more shots. I think he also may have gotten a knockdown there that wasn't counted, but it was a great fight nonetheless. Claycomb gets the decision, but That was a great fight, man. I hope to have both of those kids back because I can see talent in both of those kids. And of course, Claycomb, brought out a huge crowd. Um, he's like the Karate Kid darling, of the of this of this community. He's the only one that's doing karate, so it's kind of funny to see a guy from a karate base come out and compete in our promotion. But kickboxing is sort of branch evolution of karate at some point. Then we had Khalil Silva versus Ahmed Zidan. This fight we put together at the last minute when their opponents didn't make it. Khalil Silva's opponent, apparently went to an emergency room or something like that. I haven't heard back from him since I last messaged him. I don't know what's going on with him. So he wasn't able to compete. And then Zidan was supposed to fight David Rivera. Rivera came in a little bit overweight. Zidan came in way underweight because he was actually fasting for Ramadan. And so they were too far apart for the commission to allow for the fight to happen. So Khalil actually agreed to fight right then and there. I just gave him a call. He thought his fight was off. I was like, "Do you want to fight?" He said, "Yeah." Zidan weighed in a little bit heavier than him, but nonetheless, they decided to take the fight. And I thought it was a pretty good fight, for Khalil. I think it's a good experience fight for Khalil. Zidan looked really good. He had great movement, good shot selection. He looked very technical. As did Khalil. I just think Khalil didn't let his hands go. When he did finally throw some hands and feet, he did land a shot on Zidan that looked like it buckled him a little bit, but he didn't capitalize. I think like you've told me earlier, you believe Silva's, especially Khalil's, more of a counter striker, and Zidan just wasn't giving him anything. So I think he'll learn from this. He lost the decision. It was a good fight. Both of them looked really good. Ahmed looks really good to me, man. I'm excited to have both of these kids back, and a lot of talent. I don't know. What do you think about that?
No, yeah, like you said, a lot of talent, and Ahmed looked good. Great movement. Also Silva, like you mentioned, I think he should focus a little more on being coming forward.
Offensive, yeah.
Because a lot of potential, like you said.
Yeah,
The potential's there,
For both
the
of
skill
them.
level. Oh,
For
for
both of
sure,
them.
the skill level's there. It's just a matter of learning when to let fire.
Yeah. And I felt like Khalil for me was similar to Shannon in those first two rounds. He just wasn't. They weren't getting off. You have 2 minutes. Unfortunately, in these amateur fights, if you don't let those hands go in those 2 minutes, and the other guy does, you lose. So it is what it is. It's an amateur fight. I tell people not to sweat it. And hopefully, we get both kids back. I want to talk about. We talked about these other fights. I wanted to touch on some of the ones we didn't. Michael Gutierrez versus Lion Fernandez. I thought that was a fun fight too. Lion out of the Redondo Beach sort of Black House camp. Also, boxing works. He's cross-trained there, I guess, with Coach Jason Park. And then Michael Gutierrez out of G-Fit Kickboxing. It was a good fight. Lion came away with the win, but it was a good, pretty good fight. He just kind of separated himself. And he's looking to get back on, and we're excited to have him back. And then we had in the 12th fight, Daniel Abelera versus Kai Nelson. Kai scores a nice head kick knockout there, but Daniel took this fight on 24 hours notice, basically. So big shout out to him. He's a warrior. I'd like to see him back with a full training camp. And of course, Kai with that head kick knockout. He looked good, and he's being trained by Jabril Shaibi, who is also out of that Black House, I think Redondo Beach location, and just another supremely talented guy with something like 50 or 75 fights under his own belt. So he also provided us with Mateo Ruiz, which was the next fight, versus Jason Granado. Listen, Granado looked great, but so did Mateo, man, and he's just 17 years old, this kid. Granado just 19. I mean, the future looks crazy bright for both of these kids. People will pay attention to Jason Granado's performance because he just looked so damn good in there. But I think, if you're a real fight fan, you know what you're looking at. Mateo Ruiz also looked really good in there. I want both of these kids back. You know, I can see talent in both of these kids. Granado, man, too. I mean, they both wanted to be there. You could tell they both wanted to fight, man. I mean, these were, you know what I mean? These are just young, hungry kids. Granado came out with the cowboy hat, you know. I guess he was doing that maybe in honor of his
I think
grandfather or
so, yeah.
something like that, you know. So shout out to him and his family, man. I mean, he came out pumping. You know, he looked the part. Tall, long, shredded, just ready for war. Even when we sent Marco out there to record him, you know, he's on the treadmill, you know, pounding his chest, just ready to go, you know. And I really enjoyed him, his camp, his family, everything. And same with Mateo Ruiz. So I hope to have both those kids back. And then, of course, the last fight of the night was Shannon Hill versus Steve Fernandez, which we already talked about. So all in all, excellent fights, man. Excellent fights. The next one we're aiming for is June 25th. It's also going to be at the Commerce Casino, this time on the first floor at the Event Center. Tickets will go on sale soon. And, you know, it's just bigger and better from here, bro. What do you think?
Bigger and better
That's
from
it,
here.
man.
Like
That's
that's it.
That's it. That's
Well,
it.
thank you so much, George, and looking forward to the next one. And like I know, next video we'll say it again. This event has been the best
The
one yet.
best one, brother. That's right. Hey, guys, if you haven't already, subscribe, like, comment below. Tell us what fights you thought were the best fights on the card, and also join the channel or get your merchandise in the link below. You know, that's how you support the channel. That's how you can support us continuing to build the promotion. Just so you guys know, you know, I don't make the money off the promotion and go spend it on myself. I just kind of reinvest it into the promotion. That's why you're seeing a better venue every time, a better, you know, product every time. You know, we got to pay a lot of money to put these fights together, so that's what you're helping with if you join the channel. So yeah, please join, subscribe, like, do all of that stuff, and I appreciate you guys very much. And we'll see you June 25th.
Thank you, George.
Let's do it.